Metallica. Yes. I mean, there's not really another way I can start this besides the fact that we are talking about one of the greatest bands of all time and the most popular and quite possibly the best metal band of all time. At least the most popular one, that's for sure. I know it always this or Black Sabbath, but for me, I'm gonna go with Metallica. I'm just getting some of the stuff here open. Um, and we're going to chat about this legendary band for a long time tonight. Chris sends his best to you. Thank you, Chris. I know you're not here. Thank you, Jason. I know stuff is being glitchy on here right now. There it is. But yes, I was on Chris's stream for a bit, but then I had to jump over and do this. Again, just getting some of this stuff up. You know me, you know I love Metallica. Film stock grade. Yeah, fuck yeah. Oh, that's awesome. I hope, Chris's stream is going well. I hope he's still not stuck talking about Morbius so he can get himself out of that. Oh my, but it's good to see everybody here. Good to have everyone here, and I am ready to sit down and talk for a long time about Metallica. So, basically what I'm gonna do in this stream is, first off, start with and oh, Ben's here too, awesome. Sit down and talk about the albums, and I'm gonna go through every single album because, of course, I've listened to them all, and give you my thoughts on each of them, some song by song, others not so much. I'm actually gonna go grab some of the vinyl. Give me 1 minute. That's better. Better. There we go. Now I can feel all special when I'm holding up the albums here. But yeah, anytime you guys have a question about anything or want me to talk about a specific thing that happened with them, let me know because I would definitely yeah, I mean, I would 100% suggest getting into it. It's of course a good like gateway metal band, as a lot of people say, but honestly, they're incredible. So let's start off. We're gonna go through the albums. So let's start off back in 1983 with Kill 'Em All. Now, Kill 'Em All is a phenomenal album. Now, this album, of course, has hits like Seek and Destroy, Whiplash, The Four Horsemen, stuff like that. This was their debut album. Of course, on the back, you got all the members. One of my shirts has this picture on it. Some of these songs also had people like Dave Mustaine, right? Some credits on there, and I will talk about him much later in this. But this album's great. It gets better the more you listen to it because there's lots of things you could say. James's vocals, he admits, are not the greatest here, so that can take away from some of the song. Hey, Chris is here. What's up? And Alex, I have one. I have James Hetfield. Um, there's my Hetfield one. What's up, Chris? Glad to see you here. So yes, when it comes to Kill 'Em All, James's vocals, it kind of depends on the song for me. Sometimes they are like pretty all right. Like they're not none of it's amazing, but even he knows that. And other times it's a little bit difficult, but he knows that. But going through all the songs here, I'm just gonna be looking at the back here. Actually, you know what? I'll pull it up on Apple Music. I'll make sure you guys can really see it as well. So let me get the music up here. So here we go. We have this. I just want to see what it looks like. There we go. So we have Kill 'Em All. So for me, for this album, again, the more I listen to it, the better it gets. It starts off with Hit the Lights, which is a phenomenal track, great opening here, and one that they have started to play live again, which I think is great because although it might be difficult there, yeah, it's great. Also, yeah, rest in peace, Olivia Newton-John. Should mention that real quickly. Um, God, yeah, that's a tragic loss. Sorry, back to this. The Four Horsemen. Test. Can you guys hear me? Sorry, I just got a notification saying that there. Okay, apparently it is working. That was weird. Um, Four Horsemen, whether you prefer the Four Horsemen or Mechanics, whatever you say. I'm not really sure. I haven't listened to Mechanics in a while, so I'm probably gonna go with the Four Horsemen. It's a great song. James's vocals are you can tell that he's young here, but I mean it's still pretty fun, and overall it's just a song that rocks really hard and is great to hear live, at least in live videos. I should say I've not been to a Metallica concert, so although I will be talking about some of their live shows, I have not been to a concert yet. Good now? Good now? Okay. Good, yeah, just let me know. And then Motor Breath is a good song, definitely doesn't stand out as much as the other ones on side 1. I'd say it's probably my least favorite just because it doesn't stick with me as much, but it doesn't mean it's a bad song. I think it's a really good song. And then we have Jump in the Fire, which is awesome. Jump in the fire. Yeah. That's always just what I think of. Um, Maybe not, top 3 or anything on the album, but still a really solid pick here. Just like I'm looking down at it, but I guess it's also on the screen. There are so many great songs, and I sometimes will admit that I forget how many really good songs are on this album. It is not my favorite Metallica album, but it is a very good one. And then we have Anesthesia, said Anastasia like the Slash song, Pulling Teeth, which is bass solo take 1, and it's just Cliff Burton killing it on bass. Oh my god, what a legend. I will talk more in depth about him later, but this is up there for one of the best Metallica instrumentals. Obviously, it's not one that people talk about as much, but is one that is always going to be worth mentioning. Just do 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 do, and then it just from there just explodes. This is great here. I love that. Yep, there are definitely some songs for whom the bell tolls. That's a big one that you could start off with. At least that's what I would suggest, and then go to the Black Album and stuff like that. And then we have Whiplash, which is my favorite song on this album. I don't know how close I'll get to this. There's been some weird mic stuff recently, so if I'm moving around, that's just why. Whiplash is my favorite song on Kill 'Em All, easily. I love a lot of these songs, but for me, nothing like it's like it just perfectly hits the spot. There's something about Whiplash that it just it's a great movie as well, but the song is awesome. And then Phantom Lord again. This side too. So side 1 has Hit the Lights, Four Horsemen, Motor Breath, Jump in the Fire, Pulling Teeth, and Whiplash. That is 6 songs. This side only has 4. So Phantom Lord is really good. Just like Motor Breath, it doesn't stick with me as much. I don't always remember it as much, so maybe that's why I'll say less about it. But No Remorse is really cool. It's just it's so thrashy. Obviously, this is like the ultimate one of the first thrash albums, so you can really feel it here with that song. And then we have Seek and Destroy, and I did bring this acoustic guitar. Ooh, Metallica, an acoustic guitar, yes. Just to kind of show you some of the riffs here. So this one is actually one of my favorites to play on guitar, and I don't know how this will sound with the mic, so just let me know. But this opening here, I mean, I just think it's so good. I will be using my Kirk Hammett picks as well, which I've only gotten used to now. Yeah, we are in standard here. So this opening riff, which will sound weird in acoustic, of course, there's lots of just chugging along, but I think that really helps the song. Of course, that riff is so iconic and so fun to play, and it's one they play it at all their shows. And there's little things with that song as well, because this is one of the only ones, I think it is the only one I actually know how to play on this album, at least parts of it. But like even taking some things that seem so basic, but just like the chorus, just the seek and destroy. Not in key at all, but just move it. Chromatic type kind of type stuff where you just move it down. You just go. I think that's a really smart thing they did on this song, really, and it adds to it. It like gets a sense of like connecting with the audience, at least for me, and it's a fan favorite. So it's a really fun one. And then it ends off with Metallica or Metal. I can never say it properly. Really good song, really fun one. It's a good way to close out the album. I think it works to have Seek and Destroy and then have another song right after that to not like end with the most popular, or as some people would say, the best song. My favorite is Whiplash. But yeah, that is Kill 'Em All for you. This album is really great. This cover again is so metal. You got a hammer and some blood that kind of looks like a person. I don't really know if that was on purpose. And I don't know, very very metal. That's the back once again. But now let's jump to Ride the Lightning, which for me, when I first listened to it, I was like, that I don't know how they're gonna make another album as good as Ride the Lightning, and obviously I was wrong, and you will see that in this part here. You've been listening to Metallica since the late 80s. My brother got me to it. That is awesome, Jason. And you got a 4-month-old nephew. Your dad has a Metallica shirt and loves them. Awesome. That is really awesome. This is actually, let me just bring me up here. This is my favorite album cover of all time. Blue was always kind of my favorite color, and then black as well. So that's really all there is on there besides white. It's so simple, kind of just somebody in an electric chair, which really has the theme of this whole album, with songs explicitly stating that, but that's okay. I love this back album cover work. I don't really know what to call it. James again looks so young. Kirk, just look at that face, the guitar face. Same with Cliff, of course, and Lars with this nice little headband on there, looking very metal. I love this album. I actually don't think there are any skips on this album. I will talk about all the songs specifically, so you will see what some of the members think about it, because there are certain songs in here that some of them don't really like that much, but it's still worth mentioning. But I have videos on these albums, like, once I first listened to them, but now that I've listened to them, like, a few times, probably, like, 100 times, it's, worth mentioning, worth talking about. So, let's get to it. So, it opens with Fight Fire with Fire, which has, I think, to my knowledge, if I'm remembering correctly, an acoustic intro, which is really, really cool to see. Not the only time on this album. And, it has kind of that early thrash sound with James's earlier vocals, which for me are better on this album. It is kind of funny that it depends on the song. You can like tell how well he's like, not how well, how long it's been since they recorded the vocals, depending on each song. Just because of how nasally and young he sounds, but it doesn't really bother me on this album. It takes me out of the first one of Kill 'Em All a bit. I need to switch this. Oops. But yeah, for me, fight fire with fire, fight fire with fire, dun, 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 living is near, like that. So awesome. It was actually like, there was a little bit of mini thunderstorm here, and this album I always want to put on for that. And then it goes into the title track, Ride the Lightning, which is literally about somebody dying in the electric chair. And this intro, for some reason, like, I think they just perfectly nailed the feeling of electrocution somehow in guitar, which is a weird thing to say, but like really without any effects, they got it. And it's just this. Kirk is harmonizing higher up. That's just the way I play it. I see people playing it different every single time. And then that main riff. So pretty, just a slide from A to A sharp. I hope the audio is fine here. And the whole vocal is like, again, this is another one of those songs where he sounds really young, but just the crash before my eyes. Now it's time to die. Yeah, like that. Yeah, sound in his voice. I think that's vocal fry. Could be wrong. Don't quote me on that. It's really awesome. And this song is another one of those that really grew on me. Not to say I didn't like it when I first heard it, but it just really captures the feeling of the album. And then next up is the first Metallica song I learned on guitar, typically the first one, and there's still parts of it, like the lead parts that I am working on. But this is For Whom the Bell Tolls, and iconic song, of course, one of the craziest bass intros of all time. Just got that on guitar, just the F sharp, and then E power chord, and then that part, but it's actually played on the bass. Cliff Burton's just super distorted bass. The Cliff 'Em All show is really a prime example to see their energy, and you can see him getting really into it. And there's a lot I could say about this album, but just one of my favorite things is actually during the after this whole, this part of the bass. Whatever, I definitely didn't play that right, but and I know it keeps going. That part, the bass is actually going. Wait. Before the guitars go. The phrase, like the little section phrase, whatever you want to call it, before the guitars actually go into that part, you can quietly hear the bass going. And I think that's so cool, so smart. The one thing I am working on from this song is the little part that goes. That little lead part, I guess. But the iconic song, one of their biggest songs, for a reason a lot of people thought this is one of the songs that was going to be in Stranger Things. Yes, I had to mention it. It wasn't, obviously, but still a great song. And then the last song on this side, because it's 4 songs per side, is Fade to Black, which is really like the first time people started saying Metallica sold out, whatever, who cares? Just because there was acoustic guitar. But this intro that I'll play slowly. Whatever. And then the guitar tone, the lead guitar tone, that intro solo is wonderful, but the guitar tone is like my favorite metal guitar tone ever. So you'll hear the word favorite a lot in this video, especially when talking about some of albums like this. This is one of my favorite albums of all time. Feels weird that I haven't mentioned that yet, but that whole intro part is just so gorgeous. I mean, the acoustic guitar is not only just it sounds so good, but then that intro tone that just blows the whole thing away. There's so much emotion when you watch some of the live performances. Getting a lot of things. Okay. When you watch a lot of the live performances, the whole crowd will start like singing the melody of the guitar solo, which I think is so cool and is proof of a good guitar solo. Even though it's just an intro solo, this song is about self-harm and attempted suicide and stuff like that. Like, I don't know how much I can say on YouTube. Stuff like that after their gear got stolen, because they had like a whole like U-Haul truck stolen. So they only had like the guitars they had with them at the time was the only ones that didn't get stolen, because somebody just went and stole the whole truck and like stole all their equipment. So James, of course, in that moment, they're like, oh, is our career over? Wrote this song, one of the greatest songs I think I've ever heard. Again, that's another thing I'll be saying here, but just I reacted to it so long ago, over a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago. I don't remember what I first said there, and I probably said some stupid things, but yeah, this is one of my all-time favorite songs, and I think will always be. But one thing that never fails to just like make me fall in love with is just that outro solo too. Like, listen, I love the intro solo. I play the intro solo, the first half of it, the easiest part. But that outro solo, it evokes so much emotion. Those bends are so perfect, and when Kirk does it live too, again in the videos, because I sadly have not been to one of their concerts yet. It really just down, 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 like it's gorgeous, and it always will get me. Like every time, it's like this. For some reason, he just somehow, I mean, Kirk just picked every right note in the solo, not picked, but chose every right note in the solo to evoke the proper emotion here, and that's why I love it. But let's go on to side two. It opens with Trapped Under Ice, which is a song I really enjoy. I know not everybody loves. I've talked to some people who don't love it, but I've always really enjoyed it. It's very catchy, and definitely on this side of the album. You know, it's hard with albums like this to pick side one and side two, which one's better. Because for me, I mean, this whole album is phenomenal, and just I keep looking down here because it's right here. It's also on the screen. Um, I really love Trapped Under Ice, but one song James Hetfield does not like, that is Escape. And again, a really good song for me as well. Not my favorite. I would say it's my least favorite on the album, but not at all a bad song. They rarely ever play it live, just because James always jokes about it, because it was like his attempt at writing like a radio friendly song, which is funny because obviously some of the other songs on this album became more radio friendly than this one. Still a good song. I really like Trapped Under Ice, and I really like Escape, but my favorite song on this album is, of course, Creeping Death, which might just be the best thrash metal song of all time. Gonna bring out the guitar, play some acoustic guitar for Creeping Death. Oh yeah. This besides the opening, which I play, this is one of the only like harder, I guess, Metallica songs I really can play, because I spend a lot of time learning it. But just this main riff. Down picking everything. Great, sounds amazing. Really, the funniest thing is that the hardest part of it is not the, it's this part. That took me a bit to get, but it also has one of the coolest breakdowns of all time, which Kirk wrote when he was about 16. That is the die part. You guys get it. You understand what it's like, and you've probably heard the song. Awesome. There's some moments in some of the live shows which I will talk about later, but the energy of that song is really what gets me, and it's about old like Egyptian, yep, that's the word, stuff and rituals and all that. It's all in the lyrics. Stuff you guys probably know. It's typically like the second song or second or third song they play at the shows. I love it so much. And then we get one of the more talked about instrumentals. You're not the pulling teeth or anesthesia. Anastasia? I don't know how to say it. Anesthesia. Yeah, whatever. You know what it is. Not that it isn't talked about, but this one is like, this one and Orion are like really talked about, and it's beautiful. It's actually one of my favorite songs on the album. Surprisingly, like I would put it above Escape, probably above Trapped Under Ice, and it can go back and forth with Fight Fire with Fire. But yeah, my favorite song, as I said, on this album is Creeping Death. We are 2 albums down. Now let's get into, in my opinion, the greatest metal album of all time, Master of Puppets. Now, of course, this received a recent resurgence, and everybody's talking about it and loving it again. Not that people already didn't, it has one of the most popular metal songs of all time by, super popular metal band. And I mean, it's perfect. There is nothing with this album that I don't like. There are little things that maybe when I first listened to it, I could have mentioned, and I will mention here, but this is really good. Obviously, this cover is iconic and looks so cool. Going through the songs, I will do that in a minute, but there is one funny story with the back here. Obviously, this was Cliff Burton's last Metallica album, rest in peace. But this picture of Kirk is actually because somebody threw a deviled ham sandwich at him, and it got all over his guitar. There's a video of him talking about it, and he was so pissed. Um, and he looks so mad. It's just a funny picture because then you just have like the rest of them rocking out. Cliff smiling, Lars is probably yelling, and James is also yeah, stuff like that. Cool picture of them on the back. But this album, not a single moment of this that that doesn't hit for me. There's some people coming in. Yeah, talking about Eddie Munson while I was being the Metallica lore. Yeah, of course, because Stranger Things, one of the biggest shows ever. But let's talk about the tracks here, just because I will never get sick of talking about this album. I'll try not to talk about it too long, but it opens with Battery. Once again, just like Ride the Lightning, again, to my memory. Um, okay. Thank you, I think. It opens with acoustic guitar, and then it goes into one of the most iconic metal riffs from the 80s for sure. If you watch the Seattle live performance, which I will talk about later, the energy that this song brings out is absolutely insane. It's crazy that this song is just like just straight from the opening, the guitar tone and just little musical theory type things with the song that I don't even fully understand, but I can like kind of get behind when other people talk about it or like I'll hear parts of it. It works so well. Battery, of course, an iconic song, and then we go into Master of Puppets. I'm not gonna play it on here. Don't worry, you guys don't have to hear it again. I typically play it on live streams and stuff like that. So there's that, but this song, many people would consider the greatest metal song of all time, just because it's so iconic, so awesome. I couldn't believe that I hadn't heard it fully until a year and a half ago when I did that reaction, and I totally missed the meaning. Obviously, it's a song about getting controlled by like a greater power or drugs. That's kind of the thing, is that drugs controlling your life. There's one lyric specifically, "Chop your breakfast on a mirror," that's in this song. I'm just gonna look at some more lyrics to point it out. It's vinyl, so we can pull out lyric sheets, or pictures of them in there. But, yeah, there's so many things. "Taste me, you will see, more is all you need." How you're Wait, "Taste me, you will see, more is all you need. You're dedicated to how I'm killing you," because obviously it's, talking about drugs and how they slowly will kill you over time, master puppets and pulling your strings, twisting your mind, drugs, smashing your dreams, just so much here. Yeah, where's that one part? "Chop your breakfast on a mirror" is probably like uh, that's actually funny. I'm not even gonna lie. That part, back to the actual songs and stuff. That part is one of my favorite lines here. Obviously, then it goes into this just great, fantastic little slowed breakdown, just with uh, simple chords, but it's just the way they're picked that I think makes it better. And all of Metallica's work, there's that, and then it goes into one of the most iconic and probably best guitar solos of the 80s. No matter how many times I hear it, it still blows my mind, whether it's from them or in any other content. You guys know what I mean? It's awesome. And then, yeah, I could talk about Master Puppets forever. The song alone, the thing that should not be was what they considered like the yeah, I have an idea of a few people that this could be, so I won't say who, but I can take a guess of a few people. Um, I'll just ignore it. The thing that should not be, when they introduced it, sometimes back then, it was like their heaviest thing because Battery, Master Puppets were in standard tuning, like on the album. This one, full step down, total change for them, and it is just God, that chorus. Rising in madness, like it's so heavy. Now the guitar solo on here is weird, and when I first heard it, I was like, "Oh, this is strange," and sorry. Um, this was strange, but I've just grown to enjoy now. It's something definitely different and cool to hear. But then we go into Welcome Home Sanitarium, which battles for my favorite song in the album with one that I have not mentioned yet, but this is the one that ends off side one of this one. Obviously, there's 4 per side, and this is kind of based off One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, a movie that I reviewed, God, sometime last year, 2 years ago? 2 years ago it would have been probably. Yeah, that sounds about right. And yeah, it would have been 2 years ago in, like, November-ish, and, it tells a story of, like, being trapped in, a kind of a psych ward type thing. The lyrics here, I think, are some of the best Metallica lyrics of all time. I'm gonna read some of them out to you. "Welcome to where time stands still, no one leaves and no one will. Moon is full, never seems to change, just labeled mentally deranged." This is probably the best part. "Dream the same dream every night. I see our freedom in my sight. No locked doors, no windows parked, no things to make my brain seem scarred." There's more, and then it kind of picks up. So it has this. Actually, I realized I can play this, so I will. I know I'm rambling, but that's kind of what this whole thing's about. It's gonna be a long stream, so get your popcorn. This intro using natural harmonics will play perfectly, but for the opening. Let me just get that. Yeah. It's on the 12th fret. Yeah, November 30th, 2020. Thank you, Jason. Whatever, it goes on like that. I think it goes up here. Whatever. But then it goes into this kind of ascending line, which I really love. I really love that. And then the intro solo for that from Kirk is a very pentatonic, bluesy, heavy thing, kind of like the end of the one in Fade to Black. That's kind of what it reminds me of, but it perfectly fits the song for me. And as I mentioned, the lyrics are really great. That's one of the songs that I will never get sick of. I'd say it's a top 5 Metallica song for me. It's crazy that a lot of them are on this album, and I really appreciate you guys. Oh my. Hello. I appreciate you guys sticking with this whole thing because it'll be a slow, fun process. But the next song we're going to be talking about, going back to the little screen here, is Disposable Heroes, which is my favorite Metallica song of all time. This is my number 1. It's taken me a while. I've gone back and forth through Sanitarium, through One, through Fade to Black, but I really decided Disposable Heroes, my number 1. Thank you, Alex. Disposable Heroes is my number 1. I can kind of play the intro, but I'm not going to because it's not perfect. And not to say the other ones were, but whatever. And just da 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 da, and it's just talking about kind of it's really where this image comes from. It's all these soldiers on the battlefield and in war, just as it says, disposable. Here it's like how the chorus kind of reads it the best. Where is it? Back to the front, which is obviously good. You will do what I say. Back to the front. You will die. You must die. Back to the front. You coward. You servant. You blind man. Back to the front. That whole part, amazing. It's a long song too. It's, what is it, the second longest song on this album? Well, actually third after Orion and Master of Puppets. So it's one of the longer ones here, but it's totally worth it the whole time. There's just a great atmosphere. One of my favorite parts, just again quickly scanning over the lyrics, is the whole kind of, I love when music does this, especially they do it in live shows, but the fact that it's on a studio one, but it's the part that says, "I was born for dying," and it cuts out and then it picks it up again. I mean, that part where vocals will go and everything else will basically just cut out and then it goes back into it. Disposable Heroes, I'll probably make a full video on it, or this full album, like, again, someday. But this is my favorite Metallica song, but I don't want to talk too much about all of them because I got lots to talk about, but I will not be talking this in depth about some of the later albums, so don't worry. Leper Messiah was something that was kind of taken from Bowie, and I used to call it Leper Messiah, but it's Leper Messiah. It's not taken from Bowie, but it's in what was it? It's in Ziggy Stardust, yeah, where he said like a Leper Messiah. That part. It's my Bowie. Anyway, I'm talking a lot. Sorry. And it's really great. It's one that is kind of more underrated, just like Disposable Heroes, but they don't typically play. But when they do, it sounds really good. And it may not be my favorite on the album. I might say, I don't know. I can't say what my least favorite one is. It's not. I'll just say it's not one of my favorites, but it's also not bad at all. It's still like a 10 out of 10 song. All these songs are. And then I have to talk about Orion because this is my favorite musical instrumental of all time. I had to do a project in school earlier this year, and I just used the isolated bass tracks to just slowly get like build the whole atmosphere of this stupid little thing we were doing early on. And it's phenomenal. I mean, these bass solos. I know that Papa Head has some of the notes from the part the middle section, I think, where the bass solo is like tattooed here on him as a tribute to Cliff, obviously, who I will talk about even more later on. And this whole just how does it go? Why can't I think of how it goes? Den 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 den, and it's using like I don't even know what they're probably called, but I just picture them as inverted power chords because that's really what it looks like. Because I can't play the song, but I have looked at playing it. And I've seen some of the chords on it. It's phenomenal. I'm not smart enough to comprehend why this song is so good. I just know that it's musically pleasing, and I love it so much. I keep naturally grabbing the guitar pick. And then the album ends off with Damage Incorporated, which is just, again, so heavy, kind of like Leper Messiah, a thing that should not be, just one that really ends with, I mean, really all the tracks on here. So heavy, such a great way to end it, because a lot of people would expect Orion, and yes, it is Orion instead of Orion, which I originally thought it was. Orion to end off the album because some have like long instrumentals, but no, kicks you right back into it. And I think it's just so cool just to hear the Damage Incorporated part. Phenomenal. Again, I could go on about this album for a while. I probably should have been more even to some of the songs, but whatever. I'll talk about them all in a different video, but let's go on to And Justice for All. And I do have a lot to say about this album. I unfortunately do not own the vinyl, so I will just be focusing on it here. Now, this album, like I ordered the vinyl, but it's taking a while to come in, which is okay. This album really has grown on me. The last time I listened to it, I was like, wow, this is really what I was going for. Because when I first heard it, the thing with this album, there are problems with it. It's not my favorite Metallica album, but it's still in the top 5, obviously. It's one of what I would consider the 5 essential Metallica albums, the first 5. Not to say the other ones after that aren't good. I will talk about them, but this one is super important because it is the first album with Jason Newsted, or lack thereof, you could say, because it's famously known that this album has 0 bass on it. Like, there's bass, but it's turned down to like negative 5 million dBs. So, you know, it mixing wise, it isn't the best. Sometimes some of the drums, not the drum playing, okay, talk about Lars later, but the sound of the drums is really compressed and tight, like too just, I don't even know what the word is. I guess just compressed and fake sounding, but I don't know. I've kind of gotten used to it, so I can see why people don't love part of this, but a lot of people just think this is the greatest thing Metallica ever did, and it also features some of their best songs. So we'll talk about it here. It opens with Blackened. Oh wait, okay. Blackened is what they open with on Seattle 89. At first I thought it was Battery, but I think they play it later. Blackened. Oh my god, what a song. The whole like reverse intro thing into such a heavy riff, and the drum fills. Again, I'll say that the drum recording sound maybe isn't the best, but the actual drumming on this album is fantastic in my opinion. I really do love Lars as a drummer. Shoot me, I don't care. It's true, at least for me. Blackened it's been kind of debated on what this song is really about. Some people say it's about James's mom. Some people say it's about Mother Nature and the end of the world and stuff like that. But for me, it's a clear standard on this album. An easy top 3 for me. This is actually my 3rd favorite song on the album. I'm just quickly scanning over the tracks in here. My number 3, just my 3rd favorite, and a really great song that, when looking at the length of a lot of these tracks, there isn't. Let's see, the shortest one is 5 minutes and 13 seconds, and that's Dyer's Eve. But God, what a way to open an album. I know I'm kind of speechless because I'm talking a lot, but that's okay. I'll break through it. And then we have And Justice for All, the title track here, which is one that has grown on me so much here. The whole meaning of the song, of people being in control of you and stuff like that. Not like Master Puppet, that total different rights type of thing. A really fantastic song. Definitely is a little too lengthy at times. When I first heard, I didn't love it, and I really wasn't feeling it as much. It's 9 minutes and 46 seconds, and you can feel the length at times. I know that some of the members, I think I saw a video where Kirk was talking about how sometimes, like, when they were playing some of these songs, you'd see people kind of like looking off, waiting for the next song, which is definitely it happens some parts on this album. I have grown to really love the song. There is one song later on that I will talk about kind of with that, but I still really enjoy this album overall, and just seeing them on that tour would have been incredible as well. So don't worry, I'm not taking a slash at them, especially not with albums as good as this. And then Eye of the Beholder is kind of one of those for me, like the phrase ends of Sanity, and like those two kind of go together because I like them. But honestly, if you asked me to play it from memory, I could not. And there's songs that work. They work for the album, and I think they're really good. I prefer the phrase ends of Sanity, at least from memory. But it is, again, kind of, this is the most like progressive of all the albums, and you can tell. And I'm not saying that's bad. Some people love it, again, some people hate it, but I like it. It's just, it's not fully as good as some of the other things before. But of course, one is kind of their first big shot at fame. Obviously, that came later with the Black Album, with the next album. And it's not that they didn't have fans before, they did, but one, they made the music video, they included clips from Johnny Got His Gun, the movie version of it. James wrote it, a song about somebody being trapped in their own body, kind of how he felt. But in the case of a movie that I might even watch tonight after talking about it, I have not seen yet, but it's about like a soldier who can't see, is mute, is deaf, his legs are cut off, his arms are cut off, he's trapped in his own body, and it's so atmospheric. The clean tones on the guitar are what I really love. It's a tone that's really hard to chase. It's just James is a Mesa Boogie clean tone. It's a little bit of reverb on there. This is, I think, the first Metallica song I tried to learn, but I can't play the full thing. But of course, I will play this intro that you guys have probably heard a million times. So that's the intro. It repeats again. This is actually one of the first Metallica solos that I learned the intro solo. I can play it. I don't know if I can play it on this because there's some bending, but it's just the. That's part 2. I don't even know if I can do it on this guitar. I can hit the note. Then obviously later on it goes to the. This is a Yamaha electric acoustic. I don't really know much. Says Compass series on the inside. CPX-5YN. I don't know if that means anything to this. Yeah, but it's an electric acoustic. It's very nice, and I got the action fix on it, so I can actually play. Thank you, I guess. But of course, one is an iconic song. It's one that they, no pun intended, that they play at like all their shows, and always probably will. And it was my favorite for a while. It's typically like a lot of people's favorite, which is totally okay with me. If you ever tell me that your favorite Metallica song is one, I'd be like, hell yes, that is awesome. Of course, I messed up a lot of that intro there, but I will record someday, probably by the end of the year, just a cover of at least the intro for the song, because song that means a lot to me. It's one of the first tapping things I learned. Just that it's the whatever, you guys know it. God, it's iconic, and I don't know how they wrote some of it, but it's just it's so good, so good. But the song that comes after this, "The Shortest Straw," is my least favorite on this album. The reason is this is where the whole sorry, I moved the chair for it. This is where the whole songs are too long and drag on and stuff. Um, the whole like thing kind of you can feel it very very much throughout the song. It's just shortest straw has been pulled for you again. It's good. It's heavy. Sounds good, and I don't mind it when I'm listening to it. But I would never be like, "Oh yeah, somebody throw in the shortest straw." Like that. That's kind of how I feel about the song. I like it. I like it during the album, but it is by far the weakest song here. Harvester of Sorrow, though. Oh my god, this song is phenomenal. This is my second favorite song on the album. So my favorite is one, whatever. Two, Harvester of Sorrow. They could kind of be switched back and forth. And three is Blackened. But Harvester of Sorrow is one of the I don't know what the hell's going on in this chat. Is oh my god, I'm still stuck on the wrong banner. Oops. Is one of the heaviest standard tuning riffs and songs ever. Oh my god. It's one kind of like Sad But True, which is actually tuned at a full step, that whenever they play it, typically James, like a bunch of people will be like stomping around like don't harvester of sorrow. Just oh my god, it is so fucking heavy, and it is such a good song. It's perfect, like the length of it's perfect. I think it's the second shortest song here. It's 5 minutes and 45 seconds, which is a good length for the song. For me, never gets old. I actually like I never really after I listened to it, I liked it, and I noticed this one is one of the best, but the more I listen to it, the more whatever. Um, sorry. The more I really realize how great of a song this is. And then as I talked about before, The Frayed Ends of Sanity is kinda like Eye Beholder, like, I feel the same about it. It is definitely good, but I could not sing it off the top of my head. That's probably a good thing. But To Live Is to Die, so, yeah, great song. I just don't have too much to say. To Live Is to Die is very, very good. It's the Call of Cthulhu, it's the Orion of this album with a little bit of speaking here, but mainly just an instrumental. This was the tribute to Cliff Burn, obviously with Jason, which is again ironic because there was no bass on this album. And I will talk about the members later on here. Trust me, I'll only really talk super in depth about these first 5 albums. So we only got one more. So if you guys, for some reason, can manage to get through that, there's that. And then Dyer's Eve is one song that is just oh my god, it's mind blowing. There's a reason they don't play live. I think there's like Lars like no, we just can't. And it's the most like kind of I guess the 80s rock sound. I know it's kind of more progressive, but Kurt goes full like Eddie Van Halen here with the whammy bar and stuff, but still sounds like himself. James, of course, sounds great. And if there was bass on it, I bet it would sound really good. And Lars has some incredible fills here. There aren't some I can pick out specifically, and I can't play parts of these songs, unfortunately, because it's YouTube. That's why I just do it on the acoustic, because it may pick up on it, but that's all right. So again, my favorite song in this album is One or Harvest of Sorrow and then Blackened, and I like it, although there are some times where it drags on too much and gets a little bit repetitive, and the mix isn't the greatest. But let's go on to everybody's favorite Metallica album. I'm kidding. One that is maybe a little bit controversial to the Metallica fans, but this is, of course, Metallica, or the Black Album, as you could call it. I've got it right here. This cover, obviously so simple. I don't know if you guys can really see. You guys have all seen this before. You have the little sign there and the little snake, which is in this corner. I actually first called this in my Master Puppets video, like my reaction to it, the Black Snake album, which some people thought was hilarious. This is one of the first vinyl records I had, and it opens with everybody's favorite metal song. Yep, I'm gonna do it. Because despite the fact that this song is heavily overplayed and not at all one of the best songs on the album, it still is a good song, and it's fun to play, although I have heard it a million times, and you know what, whatever. But there's lots with this album. This album opens with the very iconic is, whoa, of course, all these songs typically bass round E. Play this on acoustic. It's iconic. It's awesome. It sounds great, despite how much this is overplayed, and you've all heard it. But I love the tom intro. Okay, I love the tom intro for the drums and the bass. Oh my god, it's massive when both the guitars kick in and play that riff. That is iconic and super overplayed. Obviously, it'll get me going every time. I will admit, when listening to it, I'm like, okay, there are much better songs on this album, but I still really enjoy it. I wouldn't say I love it, but I really enjoy it. The one thing that is phenomenal about the song, though, besides like how it is recorded and just how it sounds, is the guitar solo. Iconic, and kind of the big start to Kirk and his wah. Not that it isn't on some of the other songs, like it's in there, and a little bit in Ride the Lightning. It's on Disposable Heroes, the album Ride the Lightning. I forget which song it's on. I think it's on 1 or 2. But here, it's kind of where all the jokes started. But the solo is amazing. And then Sad But True, maybe the best song on the album. I don't know. This riff, I can't play because it's a full step down, but just simple type thing. Oh my god, it's heavy. This is one of the only things I can play on the drums. So, boom, 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 boom. You guys know how it sounds. I can play the intro, not the whole song, but on drums, and it's so good. One thing that I think needs to be mentioned about this song, no matter what you think of it, in my opinion, again, it's not my favorite Metallica album. It's probably my third, I would say. I'll do a whole ranking one day. The mixing and the way this album sounds, sonically, best recorded album ever. Like Bob Rock, yeah, not the best dude, and definitely had some strong feelings on him after Some Kind of Monster in that documentary. But I mean, you got to give him credit. He really made everyone love Metallica because he chose to do certain things, but we're also going to give credit to Metallica and all their members and stuff. But Sad But True is amazing. Holier Than Thou is also really cool, really kind of short, quick song, but I really love it. Corey Taylor does an amazing cover of it on The Blacklist, which is like came out last year. There was the one with like 50 covers or whatever, 50 different artists. It's one that doesn't really get talked about that much, but I really enjoyed it. And I know that now they're starting to change up their set list a lot, and they play different sets every single night, which I love. But Holier Than Thou is great. This is like one of the newer issues, so it's split up onto 4 sides, so 2 albums. So that's end of side 1 on the first one, and then The Unforgiven. Man, this song is, I know it's one of the most popular, but it is phenomenal. Another one that kind of takes a lot on acoustic, and I will never get sick of this one. And then this, of course, this intro solo. I'll play the real solo part of it. goes into the vocals and stuff is it's so heavy when all that kicks in. That's one thing that really should be mentioned about this album. It is still metal. I don't care what anybody says, obviously, but a lot of people would like to argue that. But that whole intro part, the Western sound, people could say on the guitar for that, obviously played on a telly, at least I think so. The single coils you can really hear. Fantastic. Again, one of the songs where James kind of really opened up about his past and stuff like that. And it's a song for me that never really gets old. That guitar solo, the whatever. I don't know how to fully play, but I know the double stop, just starting double stop, just perfect way to kind of really hook you into the solo. And I love it. And then Wherever I May Roam, again, another one of those really big ones that got better definitely over time for me. Not that I didn't love it, but I do remember not saying that it was one of the best, which is kind of stupid of me because I really like basically all the songs here. Okay. But this whole, there we go. Thank you, Jason. Here's a comment I can respond to. Thank you so much for the donation, though. Of course, the Black Album started my Metallica phase, and I listened to their previous albums. I was only 9 years old when I became a fan. That's awesome. I love that. I love hearing that. That is so awesome. I know I'm kind of just playing and talking over the songs, but thank you, Jason, for the donation. Sorry, I'm just gonna. I know they're gonna keep making accounts, but it's. God, whatever. Wherever I May Roam. That's time. Thank you, Jason. Though it means the world. Jason is the best. You guys all know that. But I love hearing about your time, especially back then when all this really first came out. But the Wherever I May Roam riff. So this is the guitar. And then the drums. A lot of that stuff is just chromatic type. And then it just goes. It's just really cool chords, and the vocals I really love. And it's kind of about not having a place to stay and like fit in and stuff like that. That's how I've at least seen it for me, and that's why I really love the song. It's one. There are a few songs on here that I really don't get sick of. Yes, I get sick of Enter Sandman, but all the members of the band do, and they say it, so it's okay. Whoa, I don't know why that just turned so much. And then Don't Tread on Me is a good song, but it isn't one of my favorites here. I know a lot of people really love this one, but for me, it's definitely one of the weaker ones. You can feel it. I like it. It gets stuck in your head. Don't tread on me, wow, wow. You know, more wah. Of course, that's a common thing with the album, but I love it. This is probably the main reason I bought a wah pedal was because of this album, at least. Hearing parts of it, the songs I had heard, and I really enjoy this song, although it's not one of my favorites here. And then Through the Never is definitely down there for one of my least favorites. I don't know why it keeps doing that. Twisting, turning through the never. Like I love parts like that, but it's just like Don't Tread on Me. It kind of just, I don't know. There's just something about it, like this whole section of the album. Maybe it's because it's between two of my favorite songs on the or between four of my favorite songs, two on the front and then two after, which I will talk about in a minute, that are iconic and stuff like that. But Through the Never, good song. I know this was like the title for one of those concert movies that they did, which I have not seen yet, but I would like to check out. And then it goes into the iconic Nothing Else Matters. I could just have to play that and everyone knows what song you're playing. It was like something James wrote while just being on the phone with someone, kind of a love-ish song, but I love how just like The Unforgiven, James really took like a personal I don't know what's the word. He took a personal kind of, God, I just totally blanked. I'm sorry. It was a personal song for him. I'll say that. And you can feel it here. It really feels like a strong emotional song, but just that solo that is James playing, which I love. Whatever. Stuff I've tried to learn before that I will eventually learn, but it's proof that James is a great guitar solo as well. So lead guitar player as well as rhythm. He's like the best rhythm guitar player ever, but also he can do lead when he feels like it. So I really appreciate that about him, and this is like the one song where you can really feel it. And then God, sorry, I keep getting distracted. After that, of Wolf and Man. This is a song that does not get talked about enough. This is a top 5 song on the Black Album, I'll say. This was my favorite one on here for a while. I love this song. I think the song is amazing. It's I know it might sorry. I don't know if that actually mutes it or not, but still, this is like one that yeah, this is kind of like Kirk's little baby for this album because it's about werewolves. It's a song about werewolves, obviously, of Wolf and Man. Dun, 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 dun. Just that part, I could play it, but it won't sound good in acoustic. It's a great song, and when I listen to it, it like makes me happy. I'm just like I'm so cool because I'm so cool. It feels so cool, and it kind of feels like a little bit of like a fanboy type song. And people don't talk about this song enough, but it's amazing. And now I really want to listen to this album again for some reason, but gotta talk about it. And then we have another one of the heaviest riffs, at least that is not like drop A or drop B or something. And this is The God That Failed. This is another one that James very openly has talked about how this is about his mother who passed away when he was I think 16. She died of cancer, but she was part of the Christian Scientist type things where they didn't believe in any medication or treatment. It was just like, no, it's not in drop C. It's full step down, so it's in D standard tuning, and it's yeah, but just a full step down from standard, obviously. And this song really details it perfectly and the rage that he feels, but that riff is so cool. I know I keep saying riff in a Metallica video. Of course I have to. I think James has riff life across his knuckles, which is pretty cool and very metal. Of that and this song, I don't know. There's something about it that really gets me. I see faith in your eyes. That lyric, something about broken promise, betrayal, some lyrics similar to that. I don't know exactly. I'm not going to pull the lyric sheet because this does have 2 records, so it's a little bit harder to get back in there after. Um, a really great song overall, though. One that sticks out to me when it comes to just musically and lyrically being like personal, like really evoking emotion in you. Great song. My Friend Misery has one of my favorite bass intros of all time. So again, this is something in stream or video, whatever you want to say, like this, where I say favorite a lot. It's because it's Metallica. They're one of my favorites, obviously. Wow, I said it again. This bass intro from Jason, this was like really his time to shine. This was Jason's baby of the album, and I loved when they played this one live, even though it was rare and they don't normally as much anymore because it definitely feels a little bit weird to play a song that's like so heavy on the bass intro now. But when they do it well, when Rob doesn't, it's great. I love Rob. So trust me, I love all the bass members of Metallica, and I will talk about them later. I keep saying that, but it's true. My Friend in Misery. A lot of people said, whatever, that this should have been like the instrumental of the Call of Cthulhu, the Orion, even the To Live Is to Die of this album. But I enjoy the lyrics here. I see what they mean, and maybe it's just because it has such a prominent bass intro, as I've said 10 times. But I love the vocals on this one, especially. I really think this is the best James ever sounded in any of the albums. There's like zero question about like nasally and like should I be a singer or not, because I know he really questioned that when he was younger, but this is foolproof here. It sounds so good sonically, and The Struggle Within is not my favorite song in here. It's down there with Through the Never and Don't Tread on Me, but it is not a bad song. It's a good way to end off the album. I'm interested to know what it would have been like if My Friend of Misery ended it off, but I love this album. I think it's fantastic. There are problems, but sonically, best recorded album ever, in my opinion. I know a ton of the old school metal Metallica fans don't love it, but whatever. Now I'm probably going to fly through a few of these albums because there isn't too much to talk about on some of them. Although I will admit, Load is underrated, and I really enjoy this album. I think I think that out of all of the past Black albums, this is the best one, in my opinion. What's better than the Black Album? I think Master of Puppets and Ride the Lightning are better, in my opinion. But talking about Load, I mean, when I first heard it, I was like, okay, this is definitely weird. It's definitely different. It's still metal. I don't really care what people say. It's Metallica. They're making metal. Um, I mean, I have not listened to the full there are, like, when I'm just looking at it, like, there are parts that I'm like, "Oh, I don't even remember parts of this," but, songs like "Ain't My Bitch," good, 2 by 4 is cool, The House Jack Built, interesting, Until It Sleeps, one of the first again, as you see flying through it, one of the singles here, but a great, great song, one that people like to make edits of, and I understand parts of it, but this is, like, after they cut their hair and stuff like that, and there's a connection with Alice in Chains there, but I probably will make another short thing on it, like the shorts. Until It Sleeps, just really kind of classic ballad type stuff, maybe some people hate it, but I really love it. It's always a cool surprise when a video comes up from, like, the Metallica channel and they're playing this. I know it's one of the big songs here, but Until It Sleeps is a really, really great song. I just love that clean intro again, just that clean tone is so good. Obviously, it's not the same as One or something with the clean tone, but it sounds really good. And then King Nothing is my favorite past like Black Album song. King Nothing is probably a top 20 Metallica song. Maybe top 25. I'll say. I know that doesn't make a difference, but a really, really amazing song. Where's Your Crown, King Nothing? Whenever that is done on this album or live or whatever, it sounds so good. And this is like, it's proof that they still had it. Maybe not as good as the other ones, but like the writing here is so good. Hero of the Day is a good song. Um, I'm not exactly sure why it starred because, in my opinion, it's not even one of the best ones here. I know it's like how much people listen to them, but I'm surprised they don't listen to some of the other ones more. Bleeding Me, they do play The Odd Time, and it's a good song. It's a long song, and I don't remember it like all of it. I honestly don't remember Cure. Poor Twisted Me, Wasting My Hate. I know Mama Said it's kind of more ballad country like, so a little bit. Thorn Within, I don't really know. Ronnie, I don't really know. And The Outlaw, Torn. This album is much longer and you can feel it, like kind of like Injustice for All, just not as well written. Definitely trying to blend genres here, and it works at times, but this album overall is not the best, but I do think that it gets way more hate than it deserves. Yes, it's weird that there's Talkbox. Um, I love there's no, I don't love. I think it's weird that there is talk box on. I think it's the house that Jack built that has the talk box, which is so weird. I remember when listening to it, I was like, "What is this? Is weird," but it's a good album, and I don't mind listening to it, and I probably should listen to it more to remember it. Although Reload has some great song. Oh, I've totally been missing. Okay, let's just pretend like I had this up on screen, or down to Reload here. This is, kind of right after Load and this whole new era of them. I remember watching Cutting Suns and seeing them play Fuel for the first time after already knowing the song and just being like, wow, this is a really great song. So this album is tough for me because there are a few great songs, but there are also some really bad songs on here. Sorry, I'm just trying to kind of handle the chat here because people are being weird. Hello, Jennifer. Good to see you here. Been on here for a while and kind of stay on here for a while. But Fuel, anyway, talking about this, Fuel is a great opening. Give me fuel, give me fire, give me that which I desire. Ooh. And the drum groove of this after it goes into like that intro, but then the that part is kind of just like, ooh, this is different and cool. The Memory Remains, I know they actually play that one live sometimes. I like that song too. It's good. Devil's Dance, I don't really know. Unforgiven 2 really grew on me because I didn't really love it that much when I first heard it, but now when I hear it, I'm like, okay, this one's pretty good. And compared to some of the other songs on this album, it's not really the best because songs like Fixer, really just from memory, Fixer is all right. Attitude, I don't know. These ones, like, I really don't know. I think you can see my mouse. Maybe not. Like, if I go like this. Yeah, whatever. What a lot of things are bad seed. Carpe Diem Baby kind of sticks with you a bit, and Slither. Songs that I probably should pay more attention to when I listen to it. Um, Ignore everything else that is, everything that's going on in the chat. They're being weird, and I'll block them in a minute if they keep this up. Um, okay. Sorry. I don't know who's on here, but it's weird. But overall, this album is not the best. This is one of the weakest Metallica albums, although it has moments that are really good and the vocals still are good. There's just parts of this album that just really, well, parts of it that are really good, but a lot of it does not do it for me. And then we go on to the real favorite when it comes to Metallica, Saint Anger. Now, I put this one off for a while, and I will admit, I'm not gonna tell you it's a good album because that's fucking horrible. It sucks. It's awful. But after watching Some Kind of Monster, the Metallica documentary, I understand why it sounds like this. I get it. I not fully, but I get why it is not their best, or it is, well, it's by far their worst. I love the album cover, so that's why it kind of pisses me off that it's such a bad album, because the album cover is really cool, but no guitar solos on this at all. Lots of very, as mentioned before, drop C riffs, like kind of sticking with the whole new metal thing that was going on at the time with Slipknot, Korn, Linkin Park, and Deftones, and, like, bands like that. Unfortunately, Limp Bizkit as well. Ugh. But I get it. They were all in really rough times. Jason Newsted had just left the band, so they were trying to find a new one. So Bob Rock played bass a lot of here. This is where I was like, "Oh, Bob Rock, shut up, shut up." Some of the stuff he says, where he's like, "You guys will never have a forever bass player or something. You'll always go through them." It's like, really? Like, no. I really hope Rob doesn't leave, because he is really great. But let's talk about the album. So I'll get it out of the way. The infamous snare sound is awful. I first listened to this album back in December. I put it off listening to it for so long. It's not good. Again, reading in here on Apple Music, it says it represents the band hitting the reset button on their career. I haven't even read this thing. They gotta pretend it's good, but there are some cool things here. Moments. Very, 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 very. Okay, dude, like, come on, guys in the chat, what are you doing? Sorry, I'm just getting through all of those. I'm sorry. Frantic is one that will get stuck in your head. I know it's not a good song, and, well, it's fine. Compared to the other ones, it's fine. Frantic, tick, 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 tock. But even, like, the vocals, like, listen, I love James. He's an amazing singer, I really think. I'm sorry for everything that's going on in the chat, guys. If you're watching this on the replay for some reason, just look at the chat and you'll see what I mean, if it lets you see all the weird messages that are being put through here. But Frantic gets stuck in your head. That's the most I could say. Saint Anger, God, I mean, Saint Anger, like, the vocals, you can tell he was struggling there. Not that it's bad, it's much, I was exaggerating a ton there. And I know that now they kind of joke and will play the odd Saint Anger song, and there are some that aren't terrible, but this one, I like the music video. Music video is cool with them in the, like, highest security prison in the States or something. But I just, like, push it out. I'll push it out, like, the background vocals and stuff, like, just overall doesn't really work that well. And then, of course, the snare sound really ruins it. Some Kind of Monster, again, like, why are these songs 8 minutes and 26 seconds? Like, a song like this does not warrant being that long. I don't care if songs are long, obviously, but that does not warrant it. Dirty Window, I know they play a lot live now, and I will admit, it is not the worst song on this album. It's not really good, but out of all the songs, from what I remember, it isn't that awful, at least compared to the other ones. I'll say that. I really think this album is terrible, but there are moments that I don't think are too bad, and maybe it's because I'm comparing to just, like, really bad songs. I'm sorry, like, I love Metallica. If you just joined, oops, if you just joined now, go back earlier and listen to me say favorite on like every other word earlier. But then Invisible Kid, why is it 8 minutes 30 seconds? Why is My World 5 minutes? It's not too bad, but just shoot me up again. Sweet Amber, kind of like I'm just kind of trying to remember them. These last few songs, Unnamed Feeling, Purify, and All Within My Hands. I know that's like a foundation they're doing now. I can remember parts of them, but they're not good. And like you want to skip like every single song here. So the only like maybe listenable ones here are Frantic, Saint Anger, just because it was like a single and Dirty Window, maybe parts of other songs, but overall, terrible album, bad snare sound, just not good mixing, no guitar solos, absolute miss. Everybody hated each other at the time, and you can see it in some kind of monster. He fucking left the band. He fucking period exclamation like just it's been memed to death, but it's still worth talking about. And now I might have a little bit of unpopular opinions here, but Death Magnetic is also not really that good. Now, if you were to listen to Saint Anger and go straight into this one, it would seem amazing, okay? But it's a cool attempt return to form after like I still think Load and Reload and Saint Anger, like they're still metal, you know, close to it. I'd consider them metal albums, but this one really feels like it probably the most metal it's felt since the Black Album, obviously. But this and the next album as well, which I will talk about. The problem is the songs are too long and way too repetitive. I mean, for some of these earlier songs, I'd say it looks like on Master Puppets they average being about 6 minutes. Batteries 5 minutes 12 seconds. Master Puppets 8:35. I get it's a longer song. I think that should not be 6:36. Welcome Home Sanitarium 6:27. Disposable Heroes 8:16. Lever Messiah 5:40. Orion 8:27. Damage Incorporated 5:32. So you can probably do some math and tell me I'm wrong, but they're too long. They're not as interesting. I do feel bad because it was Rob's first real full album, but his bass works good and the guitar works good. The one song that everybody knows is The Day That Never Comes, which is actually a very, very good song, and I really do love that song, obviously. And All Nightmare Long is pretty good. Again, I'm just going from memory for some of this. The End of the Line isn't bad. That Was Just Your Life is a cool opening, but again, too long. Cyanide really, Unforgiven 3, so a lot of people really like. I don't. I'm sorry. The Judas Kiss, Suicide and Redemption, My Apocalypse, songs that I don't even remember. Somehow these 10 songs, it equals out to an hour and 15 minutes. And I don't know, that's adding 2 more songs. Master of Puppets is about 50 minutes with 8 tracks. That means you're adding a lot of time with just 2 tracks more on this. So I know it's not exactly fair, but as an album, I've listened to it, I think 2 or 3 times to just like I listened to it first, I was like, "Oh, I don't really like this." And then I gave it another shot, and I was like, "Okay, yeah, I still don't love it." Maybe over time I will start to appreciate it more, and yes, compared to the last 2 albums, it is better for sure, but not one of my favorites. And then we have the final of the albums. This whole stream could have just been about the albums considering how long it is, but um we of course are going to talk about Hardwired to Self-Destruct. Now this album I have very mixed thoughts on. It is not amazing, but it is not bad. So there are moments here that are really great, but I don't know if it's supposed to be a double album, which like I assume so because there's disc 1, disc 2, but really only 12 songs for double album, and I know it's long and it probably defeats my complaint on the last one, but it feels like almost every single song on here is, I said almost, not all of them, double the length of what it should be, okay? Because they'll play through the song and it'll sound good, and then it will like feel like it almost, not almost restarted, but like it, lots of repetition on this album, kind of like Injustice for All, although Injustice for All is much better. Hardwired is a great song, great opening to the album, and I love hearing it live. They play that a lot live, and I really like that song. I think that song's good. Atlas Rise is another one of the bigger ones here, obviously with the star. Maybe not the best. Now That We're Dead is cool, and I appreciate this album because it really does feel like the most return to thrash kind of feeling. and it works. And you can tell parts of it have aged, but it's mixed well. It sounds good. James sounds good. I honestly think he sounds better live now than he did on this album. And to be honest, it took me a while to listen. I probably only listened to this album fully like a month ago because I was just like, I heard so many mixed things. So I was like, do I want to? And I know that a few of them, James included, were going through a rough time. So I get it. But some of these songs sound better live than on here. And the behind the song or whatever, making of, behind the scenes, whatever you want to say, videos on YouTube are pretty fun to see. Moth into the Flame, Burn is a good song as well. These are the big songs on here that a lot of people probably know. I couldn't really pick my favorite song on this album. As you can see, the whole, like, the fact that this one starts off with a song that's 3 minutes and 11 seconds, which is short as fuck for a metal song, especially a Metallica song, and then ends with one that's 8 minutes and 15 seconds. It's kind of weird. But I do like this is so like classic metal. I don't know if you can see my mouse, but Man Unkind is so like that's like classic metal, just title wise. Confusion. Again, these songs, Here Comes Revenge, Am I Savage, Murder One. Again, they're not bad songs. I don't think, at least from memory, I have only listened to this album once, I will admit, and I wouldn't mind listening to it again. There's no really standout like awful songs or two like terrible songs. Nothing that I'd really consider bad. Spit Out the Bone is very good as well. Another one they play live. Dream No More I actually really like, but again, like I'll be really loving a song, and it will go on for like 2 or 3 more minutes than it should have. So, it's sorry, I'm just getting a shit ton of notifications, so I just want to make sure that nobody's dying or anything. Whatever. So this album again it's all right. It's not great. It's not terrible. It's okay. It's okay. That is going to do it for the albums here. Now, let's specifically talk about the people. There won't be too like I'm not going to be talking a shit ton about stuff like this. I'm just going to go through all the members, give my thoughts on them musically as people from what I know and stuff like that. I know maybe this is stuff that people don't want to hear as much, which is totally okay. I get it. Let's talk about Papa Het though. He is one of the greatest frontmen of all time. Said it. A lot of people have probably said it, but it is true. He is a great singer. There have definitely been times where his personal issues have seeped into the performances, which is totally normal. Just putting this topic away. Happens all the time and always will. But he has written some of the greatest riffs of all time. It's hard to pick what are the greatest riffs of all time, but he is the second riff lord. You got Tony Iommi, and then you got James Hetfield. So I will always love James. Sure, there's stuff he said in the 90s and 80s that isn't the best, and people are talking about that now and trying to cancel Metallica, but that'll be over soon. So who really cares? It's stuff that they've mentioned, and there's been tons of videos where James talked about how he's really grown as a person and changed since then. And God, he went through so much when he was younger that I don't want to get into on a stream like this because I don't know everything, but from the stuff I know, I kind of mentioned it, and some of the songs here, The God That Failed, stuff like that. It's impressive that he was able to do everything he can, and I think still today. I think now is like the best he's probably sounded in so long. So I'm really proud of him as a person and as a musician and singer and guitar player. I mean, I love playing his stuff. I'd say out of all the stuff I play, White Stripes, Jack White, and Metallica are the most things I play. So of course I got to give him credit. But one person I could probably talk for way longer than this stream will be about is Kirk Hammett. Obviously, I have his signature Jazz 3 pick here. Let's see if it'll focus. Probably not. You can see the little signature there. This definitely took a lot to get used to because it is much smaller than your average pick. Sorry, I don't want to yell into the microphone. Like if this is your average pick right here, this is the size of it. So there's a clear difference, especially in your hand when you're used to going like this and playing. But to go from that, it definitely has helped. I will admit. At first, I was like, "Oh shit! Did I just I mean, it was $8 on Amazon to get a pack of them, but after I got used to it, I got it probably 3 weeks ago, and I've just like, that's really it definitely changes your playing. It's like it's hard to not play those, and like every other pick seems really big, but I really enjoy them. One thing I love is that those picks don't bend, but Kirk Hammett as a guitarist, possibly my number one. When it comes to my favorites, I think of talent and also how much they impact me. So people like Slash and Kirk and Jack White and I could go on and list forever. Jimmy Page and Jimi Hendrix, and I mean, just looking around, Mike McCready, George Harrison, like so many people. John Frusciante. I'm missing obviously a million here, but I know I was just looking very quickly, scanning around my room. But Kirk Hammett is quite possibly my favorite lead player of all time. I'm getting a little bit of a headache, so I might talk faster here just because this light is very bright. Um, and one thing that makes me love him even more is his, of course, massive obsession with horror movies and horror and collecting and all that kind of stuff that I really relate to. I'd say if I were to sit down with a musician and talk and like spend the day with, he would, I don't know if he'd probably be my number one. If not, he would be my top three. There's a few others I won't say because it could always go back and forth. Who knows who's watching this? But I'm kidding. But it would just be so cool. And he's really like he's a child, or at least a young teenager, and just a little nerd at heart. But I love it. It's something that I connect with. I love watching his interviews. I was literally just watching something before about it. And the way he talks, he wants to make a movie in the future. His album this year, Portals, kind of an instrumental one, is very good as well. I know it's kind of side Metallica, but I've always loved him. I think that he's the most down to earth and just coolest member of Metallica, in my opinion. He's my favorite member. Lars is someone that, everybody has different opinions on. I really like Lars. I think he is a cool guy. Sorry, I'm just adjusting my chair here. He is a cool guy. He has had his moments that has been well documented in Some Kind of Monster and stuff like that, and people will always judge him for that and his whole Napster thing, which is understandable and stuff. And some moments where his personal type stuff did affect his skill on stage. I think he's a great drummer, and I really like him as a person. He's a smarter person than you would think. Sometimes he says dumb things, but who does that? I mean, there's that clip of like, I think it's Bob Rock rolling over his foot. He's like, "Oh, don't ever fucking do that again, you fuck." And then Kirk's like, "You shouldn't put your foot under his wheel." Like, that's hilarious. That was really funny to me. But like, sure, you could say stuff like that is annoying and people will always give him shit, but I really like him. I think he's a cool guy. Uh, I think that he is. I remember watching some of his like Apple Music type interviews, and he's good at it. Also, I did not see this, Jason. They made Eddie Munson guitar. Are you? I didn't know they made them. That's awesome. If you could send me a link, I would definitely look at that. That like red crackle type thing. I think that's really cool. I'm just gonna take a little drink here. But one thing the people seem to not realize is that Metallica would not be Metallica without Lars and his drum sound, and the fact that he was one of the original members, him, James, and more that I will talk about later. Not too long. This probably won't go more than 15-20 minutes because I am getting quite tired, which is good. Because I'm not used to speaking this much, but it's good to be back. I love doing this. I want to do more streams where I really dive into the career of them. Maybe more so on the earlier albums, as you guys can tell, because that was already like an hour of the stream. Let me just, it should be coming. Oh, that is awesome, Jason. So cool. Awesome. Sorry, I just got a little distracted. Anyway, thank you, Jason, for sticking with the whole time. I think you're the only person that's been here the whole time. Maybe Alex as well, but that's really awesome. But I love Lars as well. He's cool, and he's also really funny. But now let's talk about the Metallica bass players. There are three, obviously, that we really need to talk about. I'll talk about the other X members after. Let's start with Cliff Burton. probably my favorite metal bass player of all time. I mean, iconic stuff with From the Beltals, Orion, and stuff like that. Playing Teeth, stuff like that is just it's so good, and you can tell he had a really strong impact on a lot of the stuff. And I know that he was very like he helped a lot with the music theory, and that's why some of those old songs sound so good. And the whole thing with his death. And listen, I know I talk shit about The Shortest Straw. I don't think it's the best song ever, but I know it's kind of a thing about Cliff. Him and Kirk were literally pulling straws, at least from what I remember, to decide who got the best bed. And Cliff won. He stole Kirk's bed, and then they, on a touring bus in '86. You guys probably know the story. I probably don't need to tell you again, but they hit black ice, or at least what the driver says, and crashed. Everybody got out, and they couldn't find Cliff. He ended up passing away. Rest in peace. You are one of the greatest. Everyone always talks about Cliff Burton, and they always should. His energy on stage is great, and everything about him was great. But when we're talking about energy on stage, we have to talk about Jason Newsted, who will never get the love he deserves, and a lot of people nowadays will really appreciate. But man, this guy was an absolute fucking beast at what he did. One of the things that I will always think was so underrated was his backing vocals. That's something that people never really talk about. They talk about it kind of more now in like random posts on TikTok or Instagram and stuff, but his backing vocals sound a lot like Lemmy, but he was so awesome. He had such cool hair. He's like one of the only people that could actually pull off that look where like part of around their heads is shaved. But I don't know how he didn't break his neck. He was really a fan, and you could tell that. Sorry, just checking the comments. Yeah, Jason never got the credit. Yeah, he had to fill the shoes of somebody who was so praised and deserved every amount of praise. But Jason also was so talented, and he played bass with a pick, which I think is awesome as well. Obviously, I play guitar, but when I get a bass, I will probably be playing it with a pick. And I mean, the booming bass sound on the Black album specifically, because there is none on And Justice for All, is so cool. Playing a 12-string bass on Wherever I May Roam, stuff like that is so cool. But I sort of go and watch the live shows with him. Seattle '89, that show where they played to like 1.6 million people in Russia. And God, I mean, he did a lot, and they put him through a lot at the time. I know that's another thing that could definitely be talked about with the people, but he was put through a lot, survived a lot of it. He chose to left on his own and was, pretty respectful about it. So I also appreciate that. And I know that he unboxed like the super duper fucking, I don't know why I said super duper, like massive deluxe box set edition of the Black album last year. And I'm glad they sent it to him and let him unbox it and stuff. And seems that they've appreciated him, and they seem to be on pretty good terms with him nowadays, which I enjoy. And really love Jason. I love Cliff. I love Jason. I also love Robert Trujillo, who was originally in Suicidal Tendencies, has played for Ozzy Osbourne, and then after Jason left and during the time of Saint Anger, although I don't think he played on the album, thankfully, he joined Metallica, and he really did help a lot of the time kind of hold them together, because that was probably, I assume, the roughest time for them, at least from what we know, the public knows. But he really held it together. And I know I just talked about how great it is that Jason plays with a pick, but Rob with his fingers is just like Cliff. You can see it in the Some Kind of Monster documentary where he's like, I could do battery as like everybody's auditioning, and all the other bass players there, no hate to them, they're all very good as well. But you can, it's probably the way it was edited, but you can clearly see that Rob is the best one, in my opinion. He is the best one out of all those, and like out of all the other ones that audition, I don't know who the best bassist is. I'd probably say Cliff, but like I don't know who's better, him or Jason or whatever. And they're all great for their own reasons. He's been the bass player for the longest, and people seem to forget that, but he is phenomenal. And then when he just held it on battery, his energy, obviously the crab walk is something people will talk about all the time, the way that him and Kirk will have so much fun during For Whom the Bell Tolls, because it is it is a simpler song to play, I would say. But he filled in all the shoes, just like Jason filled in some great shoes for Cliff, obviously something super hard to do, and Rob filled in the shoes of both of them and really has stuck with them. And it's not even a question of like, is he a Metallica member? Because obviously he is. And when I think of him, I never think of like, maybe this is bad, but I never think of Ozzy or Suicidal Tendencies. As cool as they are, obviously fucking Ozzy Osbourne, but still, I love Rob. I think he's super talented, and I think still to this day he's great. And his son is also a really good bass and guitar player as well. Let's talk about the other ex members. That's my way of saying let's talk about Dave Mustaine quickly, very quickly, because I don't want to talk too long about this. When they started, obviously they went through a few members. Dave Mustaine was fired after his drinking and drug problems. That's when they brought in Kirk, who was in Exodus originally, which is a band I haven't really listened that much to. And I don't know, some people like him, some people don't. I probably should listen to them more. But they brought him in. Dave Mustaine went on to form Megadeth, another one of the biggest bands ever. Um, you can tell the inspiration for Dave's writing, especially on Kill 'Em All, and that's why I enjoyed it. I really enjoy Megadeth, although, if you wanna ask the question, who's better, Metallica or Megadeth? Metallica by fucking miles. I don't care what people say, it's true. I think Rust in Peace is the only Megadeth album that even compares to one of them, like, the best Metallica ones, you know? That's my quick little opinion there, although I do need to listen to them more, but even I have listened to quite a few of their albums. My opinion, Metallica's better, whatever. And then they also had that other dude. I don't even remember his name, but he had like shorter curly hair, like went down to like here, afro type curly hair, who I think was a bass player before Cliff. Cliff came in. I think it says something. I don't really know his name, and I went through all the members. Besides that haven't talked about and gone through. Just got a quick comment here. Just Metallica all the way. Fuck yes. So yeah, I think that when it comes to their members throughout the years, it's been very good. Always had good musicians. The live shows, this is kind of just the recommendations part of the video. I suggest listening to all their albums, especially the first 5. If you haven't, just go in order. I'm just wrapping this up. Sorry, I love the members. I think they're all cool. They've all done great things. Obviously, the live shows, the clear standout that everyone will talk about is Seattle 1989. Holy shit, what a show! Opening with Blackened, the amount of energy that was in that room is unbelievable. It's one that I have watched a few times, not all the way, like I have watched all the way through, but like sometimes I'll just throw it on and just watch like parts of it as it's in the background, and it's just so good. Typically, whatever I'm doing, I just end up going and watching that. Like if I'm like cleaning and stuff, I'm like, ooh, and then I'll sit down and end up just watching that instead. That one's great. Of course, the one where they played to, was it Monsters of Rock or something, where they played to like 1.6 million people after the Soviet Union ended. Iconic stuff. Crazy. Oh my, can you even picture 1.6 million people? No, you probably can't. I think you can. Also, other ones you can find are stuff like Cunning Stunts, which is really great as well. That shows the load reload era, but it shows they still sound good. Definitely a change for them. And if you're used to seeing them all with long hair, going to see that is definitely different. And then there's also Through the Never, which I haven't seen. I know it's kind of like it was a 3D movie type thing, but um, I really enjoy it. San Francisco 92 is also phenomenal. Also, I really like your profile picture. That's really cool. There's a few things in the 90s that are mentioned. I think they're absolute just fucking peak of Metallica. Not saying they went like downhill and stuff. It was pretty rocky after that. I would say they're still one of my favorite bands. So um, is one of the most important ones is Montreal when they were on their tour with Guns N' Roses, which of course they love. I love both bands, whatever. And my uncle's actually at the show, and so my dad's friends. And during, I think it was during Fade to Black, pyro incident, and James got lit on fire and stuff like that, and had to be rushed out. Um, crazy shit. You could go back all the way to 83 and look at live at the Metro and stuff. One of the first shows. A lot of their stuff is on YouTube if you want to check it out. That's another thing, is that they constantly post live videos from the shows now, and consistently, like typically once or twice a week or 3 times. I don't even know how much a week. Depends on how much they're on tour. And they also go back, and especially like during COVID and all this stuff, would post a bunch of their old recorded shows, which I think is really cool. And I recommend checking it all out. Metallica, one of my favorite bands of all time. And this is my not as long as I expected, but still an hour and 40 minutes of talking about one specific band. Says something. I'm very tired now of talking, but thank you to everyone who joined. Sorry for that little mishap weird part with all those people. I have a few ideas of who it was, but I'll see if it is who I expect it to be. But still, I love doing stuff like this. I would like to do it more with other bands. They probably won't be as long, but I think, yeah. Yes, this is what I was talking. This is what I was talking about. That's awesome. But fuck, what was I saying? Yes, thank you. And if you're new to the channel, if somehow you find this in 10 years, or if you find this a month after it comes out, definitely go back and check out some of those Metallica videos, covers and stuff like that. Maybe more analyzed videos will be coming out soon. And if you are a Stranger Things fan, you are safe here. Don't worry, I will not shame you for knowing it from there. I love all Metallica fans. If they are respectful, let me know your favorite Metallica albums in the comments down below. And if you end up checking out some of these albums, let me know. I'd love to find it Justice for All on vinyl. If anybody knows kind of like the best places to find it. And I asked for it at like a record store, but it's out of stock right now there, so that's okay. And stuff like that. But thank you all for watching. I will see you guys next time. Over and out.